Hey guys, how are you doing? It's Cinnamon Cooney, the Art Sherpa, and today in about an hour I'm going to show you how to paint this amazing lighthouse in a storm with the light on. I'm so excited about this because I think lighthouses really represent all the people that are trying so hard to make the world a better place, and if you're one of those people, you're a light keeper and I appreciate it. Listen, this lesson is entirely for you. Now, if you're looking for the lives, if you're like, is this the live? Where's the live? The live is in the iCard. We're doing both now, this quick lesson and the live lesson. So if you want the longer, more boisterous live, click the iCard. But if you're ready to just paint this, you're in the right place. Grab your paint, grab your brushes, and come back and meet me at this easel right now. So let's look at the materials and see what we're going to be working with today. Today we have titanium white, yellow oxide, phthalo blue, phthalo green, burnt sienna, Mars black, and liquid glazing medium. This is the liquid glazing medium by Golden, and I like this product because it allows you to glaze and it slows down the drying time of your paint. I'm going to start today's painting with a number 10 bright. A bright has a nice square edge. Let's just get beginning. Get this started, which is what I like to do. The thing that I'm going to be doing is doing brush strokes on the diagonal from the upper left towards the lower right corner. And I'm going to start out with the mix. So I'm going to pull a little paint out from my phthalo blue, and I'm going to add a smidge, a small amount of the burnt sienna. If you can see how I'm mixing from the outside and it's just on the tip of my brush, maybe pull a little white into it and add a little glazing to help me get blend. And I'm going to just carefully bring these strokes on this diagonal, covering the canvas, but not over mixing. I'm not going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth over the same space. I'm allowing the paint to sort of tell this story. Let's look at how we can do that again. I'm going to pull out a little of my my phthalo blue. I'm going to come get some of my burnt sienna. Not too much because I want the color to remain blue. Grab just a little bit of white. See how that's there? And I'm going to continue bringing this diagonal blustery sky blowing towards my lighthouse, blowing towards my brave light keeper. All right? They're making sure that people are getting home safe to their families, and they're in the front of the storm just to help them out. And there's a lot of people like that in the world, people that like to help others. Sometimes we hear about the other kinds of people and not enough about the kindness that's out there, but there is kindness in the world. And if you're helping the world be a kinder place, I appreciate that. See how I'm adding different levels of colors. I'm not worried about it being a uniform color. And in this upper left corner, I want it to be darker than it will be in the rest of my sky. Pull a little bit of white out. See that mixture there? Pulling a little glazing medium. Now, you don't have to have glazing medium to do this. It helps me because it is very hot where I am, where I'm painting. Here I'm getting a bunch of those little colors. And my paint can dry too fast on me. It can dry very, very fast from the dry heat. Temperature affects acrylic paint. And so that's something that affects my acrylic paint. I don't know what your studio is like. It might be different than mine. You may have different conditions. Maybe it's quite cold. And you find that that's affecting your acrylic paint. I am taking these brush strokes, not all the way down to the bottom. I'm going to leave about the, just below the last third. Just below the last third is what I'm doing. Pulling out a little of this phthalo blue, smidge of this burnt sienna, grabbing a little bit of white, and coming here and continuing this blustery day. Darker at the top, darker over here in the corner, but pretty soon it's gonna going to lighten up as it gets near the water. That affects everything. We want to have that cold wind blowing in. This is a sudden storm. And it's a good thing the lighthouse keeper is always there, because sudden storms can blow in. I'm going to get a lot more white on my brush. You can see that's a lot more white. Now I'm going to start lightening my sky. I'm going to start lightening my sky a lot. Sort of fun to do. Keeping those brush strokes diagonal to create that sense of wind and excitement. I'm going to do something interesting here. I'm going to get a little of my green paint and that brown paint before adding my white. It's going to change up some of the color in my sky. Stormy skies are very colorful. Get some yellow ochre even maybe this time, and some blue. And never be afraid of color on your canvas. It can really help you. It can really make it easier and expressive and help you tell your story. Maybe a little more yellow ochre, phthalo blue, and a lot more white. And I'm just letting this stormy, challenging sky blow in. Now I'm going to get just my white paint, and I didn't rinse my brush. Did you notice that? I didn't rinse my brush because I want the pigment that's on my brush, the color, to come off of it onto the canvas. And you can see that's a great way to just lighten up this sky. You could use this technique to do like a barn or all kinds of things. Just flat brush strokes. I'm not on the edge here like this, I'm on the flat. Just pulling it down. Acrylic painting is a lot of times about layers. It's about being able to tell your story. And I'm just enjoying that blustery day that I'm painting towards my lighthouse. Isn't that nice? You know the storm that's coming is quite big. You can feel it. You can feel that it's a big storm. And maybe the day had been nice before the weather turned. Life can be like that. Sometimes the weather just turns on us. Things just suddenly get harder. We can talk about those experiences in our art and feel better about them through painting. And I like that. So, I haven't painted all the way to the bottom. I might try to make sure that I am keeping a nice directionality. But don't blend too much. Don't take away all the personality that you've worked so hard to put in your sky. Art likes personality. So that looks really beautiful. I'm going to dry my painting now. So if you're really enjoying this, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe and share. It's a lot of fun for us to bring these really wonderful art tutorials for you. You can find us on Facebook Live Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 8 p.m. doing like drawing lessons and watercolors and goofy art, and always here on YouTube bringing amazing art tutorials. Tell me in the comments the kinds of things that you'd like to paint, and you never know, you might see that request end up in a future painting. I'm going to rinse my brush out really well, pull it out of my water. If I leave it soaking in water, it can crack. It's one of my problems that I do too much, and I'm going to use my low tack artist tape. So regular masking tape can pull up the paint underneath, so I actually go to the trouble of buying painter's tape from the art store so that I don't have that experience. But really what the important thing is that it's low tack. I need to create a very, very level horizon line. The ocean is always going to have a level horizon line, And one of the things that sometimes make our trip paintings not look the way we want them to is that we actually photographed our picture at an angle, and when we go to paint it, we leave that angle in. So I'm gonna not trust my humanness here. I'm gonna put my tape down. This is gonna help give me a really nice line. And let's start putting in our ocean. We're gonna put in the first layers of our ocean. So I want you just to grab the green and the blue. You can even add a little of the brown to this and just come here and paint back and forth. Right now, just on a horizontal. Green and blue. You can even grab some of this yellow ochre into that. And you're going to just back and forth on the horizontal. This is the first layer that we're doing on our water, because we need our water to look quite dark and moody. This is a storm, and the ocean will tell you the mood the weather is in, won't it? If you've ever been near the ocean, you've seen that. If you've never been near the ocean, well, you have a little bit now if you're painting this. So that's kind of nice. That's one of the nice things about art, is that it can transport you to places you haven't been. I'm just going back and forth. You'll notice that I'm really being careful to not scoot from the center of my paint. And that's a good way for me to conserve my paint and even save money by only using what I need. Right? Just using what I need. And this is my first layer. This is my first layer, and I'm just going back and forth. You can use the glazing medium if you're having trouble getting the brush to release the paint. If it's very dry, hot and dry. That's the conditions that sometimes give people some trouble. But there's always a fix. In art, that's the nice thing, is there's always a fix. There's always a way to do it. Get to value our imagination here. And just back and forth. Notice I'm keeping my brush strokes very horizontal, very level. That's super important in creating the illusion of water. And see how my tape helped give me a nice level line. And I'm not that level-headed of a person, so the tape is super valuable to me. Now I'm going to get another bright. I'm going to get a smaller number 6 bright. And I'm going to paint a distant land mass. This is the furthest object away. And this is I'm going to mist my palette here with water, because it's having a little trouble getting dry now. I'm going to bring a little of my black paint over to my brown. A little white to it. When things are far away, sometimes they look grayed out and distant, so we're going to want to create that effect. Now I'm going to paint this little distant land mass coming out here. It's going to come out a little bit past the halfway mark on my painting. And I'm going to use my water line to help me keep everything level. That's really helpful. I think that color's really nice, but I want to add a little more white to my brush just to make sure that this feels a little grayed out, not bright, because that will help it seem far, far away. I want it to seem far, far away, adding a little more black to the mix. I'm still thinking about how this is far, far away. Far, far away. Now you can use water to thin your acrylic paint. You can use a specialty medium. You can, sometimes you're painting with what's called craft paint. And what's nice about that is sometimes it's very fluid and it comes off the brush easily. Lots of ways to solve problems. I just like this way. So I'm going to tell you what I'm doing, how I'm having fun. But you never worry about that. You just worry about having fun while you're painting. So I have that nice little landmass now that's peeking out. People could live there. These are wonderful place that people could be living. I'm going to wipe my brush off, not rinse it, shockingly enough. And I'm going to get some of my yellow ochre. Make sure there's maybe a little black in there. It's okay if some of the little blue gets on your brush. Got a little white. I think I'm going to actually need to dry this. I hope you're having a fun time, and if you're really enjoying yourself, be sure and let me know what other kinds of things that you would like to paint in the comments below. The best way that I can plan programming for the YouTube channel is hearing from you. If you would like to talk to more people about what you'd like to paint, there's the Facebook page, there's Instagram, there's Twitter, and there's the artsherpa.com. All these are great places for you to go. We have suggestion areas, and I listen to what everybody has to say. So let me know how you're liking this quick class, live class separation. Just tell me what's going on with you, and let me know in the comments, and I will get to read them, and then I'll know. And it will make for a better show, which I appreciate. So now I've got my mixture here. I've got that mixture with a little bit of the black, yellow ochre, and white. It's creeping up my brush. Does that ever happen to you? When you see it creeping up your brush, go ahead and wipe that off. You don't want it to creep up like that on you, because it'll get up in the ferrule, and that's what kind of messes with your brushes. So I'm going to come from above my landmass here, about 1/4 of an inch. And I'm going to paint down this wonderful sand dune. And it's actually going to leave a little sliver of water that shows. This lighthouse is right there on the edge of the beach. It's right there facing the danger. Keeping everyone in the town safe and making sure that people are getting home. And I think that's an important thing to do in life. Take care of others. So I bring this down to a taper. And then I'm going to do an interesting thing. I'm going to brush back and forth like this. And diagonally, I'm going to move back. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do that. I'm going to move back. Kind of diagonally. Letting this, brushing in sort of this little curved way up to say that the dune is going up. The dune is going up. Right? Get a little more of my yellow ochre, a little more of my black, a little white, and just paint the direction of your dune in. Just paint that lovely little dune in. That'll be nice. If you get a little green on your brush, don't worry about it. Sometimes you'll get little surprise colors on your brush as you're painting. And that's actually a good thing. It's wonderful. Try to just be in your painting moment when you're there, when you're making time for yourself. Just brush stroking. This one is a little bit lighter, and I'm okay with that. I'm trying to make sure my dune seems like it's there. A little water to my brush for flow, black to the paint. Make sure the upper part of the dune isn't too smooth. You want it to be a little rough, right? And fill that in. That's my favorite part. Just filling that in. Letting that happen. A wonderful dune. And a lot of this is that the brush is not clean. Right? That the brush has paint on it. When you really watch people that paint all the time, we do that a lot. We let the pigment stay on the brush. Because we want to have less work. And I'm adding a little of that medium. Defining this edge. Just making sure that this is paint it in nicely here, back and forth on the edge. Simple, simple, simple. Got this. Right up the embankment. This is a little lighter. Put this back in. I'm going to get my number 10 back out. I'm going to come back and do a little work on my water. So I'm going to pull a little green out and a little brown, a little blue. Get your white. And I'm going to come back here, and as much as I can be on the horizontal, I'm going to get a little more blue. It's too white. I'm going to come and let this make some different little waves. I'm keeping horizontal, and I'm brushing the water up onto the shore. You see how that's brushing right there? See how that brushes up onto the shore? They're blending together. That's such an easy way to make a beach. The fact that this was still wet and this was wet, let that happen. And then making sure this is horizontal off. I want to keep this dark line up here at the horizon. So if I need to, I'll go back with some darker paint and make sure that stays dark, because that lets me know it's far away. And I'm going to get a little green, a little yellow ochre, a little blue, some white, and keep just painting this little ocean in, painting those dark oceany colors. This is the fun part for me. I just keep putting it in, those little oceany colors. And now I'm going to start throwing in some ripples. And these are fun to do. I'm going to switch to a smaller brush. And I'm going to pull that blue mixture I have right here and a little white. And I'm going to start telling like the story of some little disturbed water happening here. The storm is starting to come in, and can you see the water starting to get disturbed there? Blending these two in together. Blending them in together. It starts to disappear. You don't want to take it all the way to the edge here. You really only want this detail to show up close. Pull a little blue, a little green, a little yellow, white. Come back in. We're going to keep just telling this more disturbed little water story. There we go. Just back and forth. If you need to go back with some dark colors, if you lose your dark colors in the water, because that's what really conveys the storm, go back with just some blue and green. Just blend it in. So these are kind of coming on a diagonal, aren't they? They are. They're kind of coming in on a diagonal. You can take those out there. I'm going to just do my blue and my green on this blustery, blustery day. Right there. Right there. Just enjoying that. Hope you're enjoying this. Now, wipe your brush off. Don't rinse it. And come get some just white. Just some white. Come along your shore. And just with the edge of your brush, see the little kind of cradle rocking back and forth I'm doing? I'm just adding some little foam. It's a little foam of this water coming up on the shore, isn't it? A little foam. Kind of fun. Letting my brush strokes get bigger as they get closer to me. So now that feels like there's a little water rushing up here. Getting a little more. And I'm going to come along this little wave that I painted in. Sort of follow its little line. If your brush starts to pick up too much paint from underneath, just wipe it off and get a little more paint again. Here's that little kind of wave that's happening there. And then I'm going to tell a little story. So this is a little abstract. This isn't This is more emotionally about this day than anything else. And that's what I like about this. This is, you know, come back here and put a little wave and coming in, grabbing my brush and zigzagging a little bit. And just thinking about what this water is like and adding that. Those little flicks of energy. See those? So now we have this nice water here in the sky. And now we need to create the world our lighthouse keeper keeps in. So let's dry this real quick to make sure everything is dry because we've got to sketch this in and paint. So I want my lighthouse to come from here and come vertically up. And one of the hardest challenges is just sometimes drawing a straight line. I hear people all the time say, I can't even draw a straight line. I'm like, I get it, it's hard. Drawing a straight line is hard, but it's okay to use things to guide or help you. I can use my painter's tape to help give me a straight line, or I can use a ruler. But today I'm going to use my tape. You could use the fold on a paper towel. These are all perfectly good things. And I know that I want my lighthouse to be in the sand. And I want to have a little bit of the world peeking out from behind it. So I feel like that's a pretty vertical line for me to start with. I'm going to get a small detail brush. This is a number 2 bright and it's real small. It's going to give me a lot of control. And I'm going to sketch this in with white paint so you can see it. But you at home, see, I just noticed it wasn't straight. Just make changes in art whenever you need to. You at home, you can sketch in with chalk. And I'm going to want this part of the lighthouse to come to about here on my sky. So that's, I can actually tell you exactly what that is. That will be a little under 4 inches from the top. That's where I'm going to be ending that part of my lighthouse. I'll just bring this down here. Anything I make a mistake on here, the reason I'm pretty confident and not that worried about it is that once acrylic paint is dry, it's real easy to fix a mistake. So you don't ever have to feel stressed about it. Now I'm going to come across the top and make kind of like little curved lines. It's going to be a little bit curved. Now I'm going to pull. I want a dot here and a dot here equally on the other side. You can even make a little smile. That's the base of your lighthouse. We're going to paint sand and things around it to ground it so it's not floating. Now you can just join those lines. And anything you don't like, you don't have to worry about that. You just paint it out. All right. We're going to paint that in. Now remember, drawing is not the only thing in art. So go ahead and check the description below if you want that traceable, if you're not having fun. Don't be like, that's cheating. That's not actually true in art. There's no cheating in art. There isn't a quiz at the end of the painting. There's no art police oversight committee. So tracing is just a skill of art, as is drawing. And you can choose which skill you want to use to get this lighthouse in. No guilt. So that's just my important soapbox about that. All right, let's get this painted in. All right, let's get this lighthouse in. So I'm going to mix a slightly gray color. I might even add a little yellow to it. And I'm going to paint this lighthouse in. I'll paint him in. I don't want to paint this lighthouse in pure white because I've got to shade this lighthouse so it has form and structure. So So I want to be sure that the first layer is a slightly darker color. And I'm going to enjoy getting this in. I'm not that worried about brush directionality. We're going to be doing a lot of what's called dry brushing on this lighthouse. And so that's going to make it possible. I'm going to put out some more paint. That's going to make it possible to do this really easily. Remember not to stress out about what you've got going on. Not at all. It's just art. Don't worry about it. Mist, 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 mist. I'm going to keep painting this in. So I'm not worried about brush stroke directionality, but I am trying to keep my lines kind of straight. Best I can. It's a moving target, guys. Don't be anxious. Just get painting. Painting is so good for you. It's the one place where you always get to be right. Because it's your painting. Alright, I'm just getting that all in. You can see I'm just making sure it's all covered. Just not even that worried about what's happening there. Right? So with my brush still dirty, what I might do is grab a little yellow ochre. It's okay if there's a little green and brown on your brush. And I'm going to come around the base of my lighthouse here. Just make sure that this feels like an imperfect sandy little dune. Get some more white paint. Just making sure it's an imperfect little sandy dune. Don't worry about that. Put some over here. Just put the paint in. Have fun. Come along this edge. Isn't that easy? Now it feels a lot more like, it's seated there. And that's great. You can even grab a little brown and a little black. And come along. Make sure this feels just a little bit imperfect. That's what's special. And there, just giving that a little weight, doesn't it? Just a little bit of weight around there. A little bit of, hey, light doesn't shine through me. It's not like really shadow, but it has the feelings of one a little bit, doesn't it? This guy is sitting here. So I've got him sitting there. I'm going to wipe off my brush. So now I'm going to start giving this some dimension and some texture. I'm going to take a little of my black, maybe even a little yellow ochre together. And some glazing medium here, some glazing liquid. And I'm going to come on this back side here. I'm going to create this sort of little shadow. And my brush strokes are going to be sort of in the shape of my cylinder here. A little bit I'll be pushing them out. And maybe these will go up and down as I'm putting it in, but then I'm going to make sure that it's out. I'm going to make sure that it's out. That's alright. I'm going to make sure that it's coming out here. Like that. Look how nice that is. It's so easy. Alright, now that you've seen that, let's come get some, we haven't rinsed off our brush, but I'm going to get some just a little white. It can maybe even have a little tint of blue on it, huh? That's quite bright. And I'm going to come here. And I'm going to very lightly, and my brush pressure for this is so light, and I'm letting the paint that I've already laid down from underneath show here. I'm just weathering my lighthouse a little bit. See, I'm weathering that out. The brush strokes are light. Changing direction on them, trying to make this seem like it's seen hard days out there in the front of the storm. Have you seen hard days out there in the front of your storm? I don't know, but this lighthouse has. This lighthouse has seen just some harder days out there in the beginning of this storm. And now it's starting to take some shape. Isn't it nice? Isn't that nice how it's starting to take form? Make sure that this is kind of nice. A little respectable brightness to it. Now our shadow seems to make even a little more sense. Wipe off your brush. And I might even get some, without rinsing off, a little black on here and come along where my sand is. And above my sand, kind of cast a shadow on my lighthouse as if this is really planted and you can see that shadow of where it's planted. A little bit. Just a little bit. Nothing crazy. Nothing crazy here. Just happily go along. Light brush pressure. Just don't push hard into the canvas. Just have it be light on the surface of the canvas. So there, I feel like that's a really good shape happening there. And so the next thing that I'm going to do is build out the rest of my lighthouse. So I'm going to get my detail brush again. You do yours in and chalk or anything that makes you comfortable, or perhaps you've already gotten it on your canvas some other way. And I'm going to flare out 2 lines. I'm going to flare out 2 lines. Sometimes I like to hold my canvas steady like that. They're about a little over ½ inch long. And then I'm going to curve this line just to make sure that it matches the curve of the top of the column. Paint that all in black. Paint that all in black. You can do that. This is something you can do. Sometimes art seems very mysterious. It's really not. It's just steps. You can do the steps. You can start to learn those. And you can start painting. Be creative. Maybe discover something interesting about yourself. That's always nice. I hope you do. Discover something a little interesting about yourself. I know I do every day I paint. I am going to put a little vertical line here. A little vertical line. I know that's going to be for my fencing later. I'm going to rinse my brush off. Wipe my brush off. Get some little white paint. And the next thing I'm going to do is, if you imagine that there's a vertical line here, continue that up. This is the room that the light is in. Very important room. I curve the top of that line. And you can just paint this in with a light gray, even though we're going to put a light in it. Even though we're going to put a light in it, we're going to paint it in with our light gray. Just lightly. You don't even have to paint out all the sky, interestingly enough. See how I've done that kind of just very, very lightly. It's going to work out really well for me in a minute. Wiping my brush. I'm going to get some just black paint. I'm going to create the cone top to my lighthouse. Just kind of a triangle. I'm going to paint that all in black. And maybe I'm going to say that they have a finial top here. I'm going to wipe my brush, get just a little white paint. Maybe even imply that this has some stuff shining around it. Wipe your brush, get some black paint. Fun stuff, back and forth you go. These nice little verticals here. Make sure everything is looking good. get my white. I think this needs just a little round highlight here. Just lightly brushing this back. I'm gonna give one right here. This little, something that says that there's shape to this object. That's a fun part of it. It's giving shape to that object. Rinse, 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 rinse. I'm gonna grab another small 2-inch bright. I'm gonna do something very interesting here. The first color I'm gonna put in is a little yellow ochre with a little burnt sienna. That's the first color I'm going to put in for the light. I'm not going to paint it all with this. I'm not going to paint it all with this at all. That's not what I'm going to do. Just a little bit. It's the first color. Just wipe your brush off and come over to yellow ochre. Not the yellow ochre, the cad yellow. And come over to the cad yellow. White to that. I'm going to come in here towards the front. I'm going to just put down that yellow, a little more yellow, a little more white. Just a little bit here. Just bend that stroke over. Kind of nice. I'm feeling that. So that's starting to light up is what I like about that. Now that I have that in, I can put my railings in. Full. And put my railings in now. And that's just these little safety railings for my guy. These little dashes. There's the top of it. There he goes. Just that. I have that in. I'm going to wipe my brush. And just get some white paint here. And you can add a little inside dash. Kind of give those some definition. Some lines down. Even here. Just a couple of lines to give some definition to what's going on. And there at the front. So I have that, which I really like. And now I get to radiate that light out, which is my very favorite part of this. And I think you're going to really enjoy it when I show you how I do that. The first thing I've got to do is make sure that everything is really dry. So hopefully you're enjoying this. Hopefully you're having a good time. I'm always excited to see your paintings. So be sure and share those with me on Pinterest, on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram, just anywhere you want to. Hashtag anything Art Sherpa and I should be able to locate it. You know, even just share it with me and I'm here for your questions. And remember, tell me in those comments below what it is you guys are excited about painting because actually it's you that direct what I decide to paint. I actually get all my ideas from you. So help me have them. Help me have those ideas. Commenting down below. Now I'm going to put in my first ray. And one of the important parts of the rays is that I need it to be level. So in this case, I'm going to show you how I use a ruler to have it be level. So I'm eye leveling here. I'm about halfway up my cylinder and I'm eye level, which may not be perfectly level. And I'm going to get a little white and a little yellow paint on my small detail brush, a number 2 bright. And I'm going to come right here. And out to about the 6-inch mark there. And then off the canvas. And that really, really helps me. I'm going to wipe the ruler with my fingers. And I'm going to try to the best of my ability find center again. And I'm going to give myself this diagonal. Whoop, didn't even get it. That'll happen. Don't even stress about it. As you're painting, you're like, I didn't even leave any paint. Alright, there we go. So we've got that line happening. These are just guides. They're not like the final result. You're just giving yourself some help. Because sometimes this can be hard to do by eye. I'm planted up in the diagonal here. And I'm going to use my ruler to help guide that. So now I have those guides, I can start creating the radiating light. And I'm going to get some glazing. Glazing is very nice for this because it lets the paint be see-through. A little white, a little yellow. And I'm going to make this just a slightly stronger line. Just a little bit. And then I'm going to start pulling out these lines. And the guidelines will help me make sure that this beautiful starburst effect works. Just pulling out this starburst of guiding light. The glaze is letting what we painted underneath show through, which helps to enforce our light effect. I think I'm going to need to give myself a guide here vertically. So you might be going along, you might be like, hey, I need a vertical guide. Go ahead and give yourself one. Because it can help you. Just light up the night. Guide your sailors in. So this is just a glaze. This is just a little white, a little yellow. If you don't have the medium, just do very, very light brush pressure. And it can take a few passes to get the effect. Don't worry about that. We're just turning on this light. Let's turn on the light. You see that light starting to turn on here, starting to sparkle into the night, into the storm. Some of your lines can be shorter, some can be longer. Just kind of letting this be here so we have that detail so I don't lose the hard work I put into my lighthouse. I don't want to paint out everything I did. I don't want to paint out everything I did. I just want to show that the lighthouse is on. I'm going to pull some just pure CAD and right here in the center. Just make sure that I've not far out, but just that it enforces the story. And that, my friends, is how you paint this fabulous stormy lighthouse, which I hope you really enjoyed, and I hope you had a lot of fun, and I hope you found yourself feeling better and more relaxed. And I'm so glad you took the leap to be creative. I really appreciate it. So I love that you guys showed up. I'm so interested in what you think of the two types of content, the lives, which again, you can find in the iCard and in the description, versus these sort of like more direct lessons. You know, really this is about you and making sure that you guys are having a great time in your art journey. I'm already having a great time in my art journey. I get to paint like all the time, which just makes me super happy. So definitely let me know. Comments below. What do you want to do next? I want to see you guys at a live event if you can make it, 11 a.m. on Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. You can find those in the upcoming playlist and come hang out with us and have a good time and laugh. Or at any lesson. These are up forever and you guys just enjoy them. I want to see you with the easel really soon. Be good to yourselves. I'll see you really soon.